The home team is brought to you in part by Grace Family Church. Just try it. By Tampa Bay area Chick-fil-A restaurants. By Vermost Insurance. By Mahoney's Auto Repair. By the Home Pavilion on Clearwater Beach. By Irish 31, the place to catch your favorite team in action. By Iceman Development, LLC. And now, here he is, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning and Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Paul Porter.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the home team. Glad to have you with us. We've got so much to talk about today. It really is March Madness, not just with basketball, but March Madness with so many things going on. We've got hockey and baseball getting ready to start. A little over a week away from the Major League Baseball season, or actually less than a week away. It's this coming Thursday.
Did I hear? But didn't the Dodgers Padres play a game that counted?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just weird.
In Korea,
that's
in
just
South
weird.
Korea.
So you play a game, a regular season game, and then go back to spring training for a few games.
I don't know if they're going back to spring training, but that kicked off the season, and then they give them the rest of the time off. They'll be in camp, but they'll have the rest of the time off. But next Thursday is opening day for the Tampa Bay Rays and all of Major League Baseball.
Very nice.
So it's already here. They're actually opening in March, and they're doing it smarter though, where they're having teams open up in warm weather climate or in dome stadiums.
Yeah, that's good.
Rather than try and be outside in Cleveland in the end of March when it's 28 degrees and snowing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're doing that. But we have a lot to get to today, and glad that you've joined us on the program, and I'm glad to see so many of you tuned in on Facebook Live. We've got a number of people there already. John and Donald are there, and Billy and a few others that are joining us on the Facebook Live. And we've got a fun show for you today. We're going to have a contest today for the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. We spent the last 4 weeks picking the men's brackets, and some of you are still in it. Some of you are knocked out and didn't even expect to be knocked out, but we'll get to that in just a bit. But the way the contest works today, very simple. You just pick your team. First caller, first person on Facebook Live gets first choice, and that's the way it goes. So you just pick a team. John obviously has gone with the chalk. He's going with Iowa. Mm-hmm. He usually goes with the favorites. Right. So that is his team. And it was funny. I was just watching some clips of Caitlin Clark, who may be the best women's basketball player in history. Mm-hmm. She was signing autographs. And what a difference. And I could tell by the way she was writing. She's really writing her name and taking time to put Caitlin Clark, you know, where the guys just do a couple of scratches and that's their autograph. Yeah, but it was refreshing to see her actually, and you could see by her hand movements that she was actually writing her whole name.
Good handwriting is a good quality to have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Unless you're a doctor or a pharmacist, then you got to have bad handwriting. I think that just goes along with the game.
I guess.
But anyway, we've got a lot to get to today. March Madness is underway. We've gone from 64 teams down to 32 now, and then by the end of tomorrow, it'll be the Sweet 16. Yeah. And getting closer and closer to the Final Four. So many upsets, though. It's almost become a common thing anymore, where it used to be, wow, the 15 beat the 2. What happened? But now it's every bracket that you're seeing.
Well, like the team, like Mickey Mouse, like the teams you always call the Mickey Mouse instead of the Cinderella, whatever you want to call them. The field is wide open because there's no dominant teams, and that's because players don't stay the full 4 years anymore. Some of them will stay just 1 year. Some might stay 2 at the most. And I'm talking about the bigger schools, the bigger programs. They might stay 2 years at the most before going pro. Where a lot of the players of the smaller schools, these players are not going to be going pro. They'll stay the full 4 years, and they'll get, they'll have cohesiveness, team chemistry. They may not have as much talent as some of the bigger schools, but they have a better overall team. And I think that's what we're seeing, with teams like, Oakland knocking off Kentucky. Last night, Yale knocked off Auburn.
Yale was a lock. I couldn't let that slide, Jason. I know you missed all
I missed that one, too. I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah, but you're right. It's becoming more common just for the lower seeds to beat the higher seeds.
Well, to Jason's point, you don't see schools anymore like what Wooden was doing when he had Bill Walton in UCLA in the 70s. You don't see teams staying together anymore. That's why Duke was so hated in the early 90s when they had Leitner and Grant Hill. You don't see teams like that stay together anymore.
Yeah, and to me, that takes away from college basketball.
I
agree.
You want to see some of the teams that are the powerhouses, and now it's just, you can turn on the TV and you say, okay, so-and-so's playing so-and-so, but who's the better team?
I've often gone for the underdogs. I like it when there's upsets, but the more often upsets happen when it's not really a surprise, when it does become commonplace, it loses its feel a little bit.
Exactly.
It's not as special because but you really could have seen this coming from the way the regular season went. It seemed like every other game, every other week, a ranked team was losing to an unranked team. That happened constantly throughout the course of the regular season. And that, again, it shows you that there are no dominant teams. So it's wide open. Literally anyone can win. I mean, look at the Final Four last year. You had, San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, two lower-seeded, smaller schools. You had those teams in the Final Four.
So to that point, and I've often wondered this, and by the way, Donald has selected Connecticut, so no surprise there. But I've often wondered this: can leagues and sports survive without dominant teams? You're always hearing about parity, that every team, every league, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, they're striving for parity. But if everybody's about as good as everybody else and there isn't a team to beat, does it take away interest?
You're always going to have some teams that stay good. And the reason, even if they lose players, they recruit great players. See, so I don't think that that's really going to change. It may be the point that you're not going to see as many repeat champions, but there's going to always be like teams in basketball, for instance, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina. They're always going to be there because even though they lose players, they recruit great players. The question is, are they going to consistently advance far in the tournament? That's the question that maybe they might not. They're going to do it still several years. They'll be there, but maybe not as quite often year in and year out as they once did.
Not only that, but I can see it happening where it used to be, when I go to the college, I want to go to Duke. I want to play for Mike Krzyzewski. It used to be if I'm a football player, I wanted to play for Lou Saban or Nick Saban and at Alabama. Now, if there aren't any dominant teams, and a kid wants to stay close to home, let's say, or he likes a particular school for their academics, you may not have teams like Duke and UCLA being able to recruit regularly.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think when you establish yourself as a traditional powerhouse, even people who don't know, who weren't born, back in the big glory years, they're still going to hear about you. They're going to hear about your achievements, and they're going to know in their mind, okay, if I'm looking to get to the pro, if I want to play this sport at a pro level, this is the place to go, because so many other great players have gone there and have gotten to the next level and been successful.
Well, that's why you're always going to hear in the college football discussion, like Michigan, Ohio State,
Alabama,
Auburn, Penn State. You're going to hear a lot of the big schools.
Now some have fallen on. You look at the University of Miami, who is so many great teams and great players. University of Miami has fallen off some. So right now they are not what they once were. It's going to take I think them having a few great years to reestablish them. But you look, Georgia had a few so-so years, but now with Kirby Smart there and what they've achieved, they are way up there. Clemson, what do they became with Dabo Swinney. Again, another powerhouse program. So sometimes programs, LSU, but they'll have down years, and sometimes it takes a little longer to reestablish themselves.
Well, let me say this. I'm not talking about this happening next year, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we may be at a point where everybody's just about as good as everybody else, and there are some teams that are a little better, but it's leveled out so much that there are no more sure things.
Well, the college athletics has changed with the transfer portal and the NIL, the names, image, likeness, the money that the athletes are getting, and the transfer. Which, I mean, with the transfer portal, where you could literally go from one school to another within a year. You could, I mean, you just transfer out. I mean, at least in the pros, okay, usually if there's a trade or players change teams, they're going to sign some sort of contract, which usually binds them to a team for at least a few years. With the way this works in college, you could literally have a player leave one school, go play a season at another school, and the very next season choose to leave and play again at another school. That's not right. There has to be some type of restriction or rules to me against that, because that's what makes the whole thing just kind of a joke.
Taking a more local focus, want to say hello to Pat, also watching on Facebook Live, and always good to have him with us. USF. There are many people that feel that USF got snubbed. There was also a camp that said that they should have declined the NIT offer, and because they felt they should be in the NCAA. I'm glad they didn't.
Okay. Yeah, let me start with this, because this declining the NIT, which a lot of programs did, and to me, I look at the same way in college football, players choosing to opt out of the bowl games. That infuriates me. That is the biggest disrespect to sports that I can think of. You're a player, you're a coach, you're involved in sports. You know why? Because you love the sport, or at least you're supposed to love the sport. You have a passion for playing this sport, but yet for the teams, the players or the coaches who decline. I think in the basketball, I think it's more, it has to do with the coaches making that overall decision. So you're going to say that, well, I guess if we're not playing for the national title, it's not important. We don't care.
I'm going to take
we want
my
nothing to do
marbles
with
and
it.
go home.
See, that is disrespecting the sport, and I think it's wrong. You have an opportunity to play in more games. The NIT, for people who may not think this, but the NIT is a reward for teams that had good seasons. It's not the NCAA tournament. You're not going to have a chance to play for the national title, but still, the view is you had a winning season, you had a good season. You're going to be rewarded by having more games to play in competition against other teams that were good, and a chance to win a championship of sorts at the end. That's supposed to be a reward, but they're treating it as, no, it's stupid. We don't care. It's meaningless. I don't like it.
I concur with that, and actually, I think there are a number of teams in the NIT that are better than teams that are in the NCAA tournament, just because you have the conference champion automatic bid. Look at Stetson, for example. There's no way you could tell me that Stetson is a team that's as good as some of the NIT teams.
And going back to USF, the second part to that, yes, I think USF got a raw deal. They, aside from the record, which was very impressive in itself, they were 24-7 after the conference tournament ended. But the fact that they won their conference regular season championship, to me, that should matter. That should hold some weight. And the fact that the committee chose to devalue that, it's a bit confusing. They put FAU in when FAU, playing in the same conference, didn't win the conference tournament or the conference regular season, and USF beat FAU head-to-head. But I think the problem is there's a bias against a team like USF that had no expectations going into the season. They surprised a lot of people, had a great year, and some people have the mindset, well, is this team really that good, or is this more of a fluke, where other teams get in by name and reputation alone? FAU was a Final Four team last year. year. They entered this season with high expectations. Other teams, Michigan State didn't have a great year. They were just 19-14, but they're Michigan State. They're a college, a tournament mainstay. So sometimes the committee chooses that and puts teams in based more on what they've done in the past than necessarily this year.
Want to move away from college basketball for a moment and to talk some other things that are going on. The Tampa Bay Lightning have just been on fire. They've won 5 in a row now. They have not lost since the trade for Anthony Duclair and Matt Dumba.
So it wasn't a Dumba move. Not at all. Not in the least bit. It was an excellent move.
So the Lightning will go for their 6th consecutive win tonight. They are still in the wild card slot. They're in the first wild card slot, which means they will likely play either the New York Rangers, the Boston Bruins, or the Florida Panthers in the first round, which won't be easy. But they're showing that they can play with any of those teams. They've beaten Florida. They've beaten the New York Rangers. And the Wednesday, they'll have a chance to beat the Boston Bruins.
Well, see, that right there to me is the fact not only are they on a win streak, but who they've beaten tells me they're back in the talk of being a Stanley Cup contender this year. Despite the inconsistencies through the year, beating those types of teams now, to me, shows that when they play at their best, they are a championship caliber team still. They have the talent, they have the experience, and that's a great sign. When the playoffs start, they're going to have an opportunity there.
Greg Linnelli from the Lightning Radio Network will be joining us at about 9:45 this morning, so be listening for that. I want to say hello to Josh watching on Facebook Live. Glad to have you with us, Josh. Not only are the Lightning playing well, but the Orlando Magic, don't look now, but they are the number 4 seed.
That's
and
right.
Only a game out of the number 3 seeds.
Excellent.
Behind Cleveland. They have put together quite a run. They're in the midst of an 8-game homestand. They've won all of their games so far in that homestand. They're home tonight against Sacramento, and then Wednesday, Golden State. And then next Friday, the LA Clippers, which will be a tough game. And then it ends with Memphis a week from tonight.
Magic are playing great basketball, having their best season in a long, long time. Well, since Dwight Howard was there. Mm-hmm. That's going back well over 10 years. So, and again, I think the Magic, it's wonderful for them to make the playoffs as a higher seed. Really would love to see them get past the first round. And who knows? Listen, they continue this streak up. They could go very far in the playoffs. I think that they have the talent. And now that they're staying healthy, that's the key. They have talented players. They have drafted very well. They're well coached. They have great players. They seem to have great team chemistry. They're a young, energetic team. And I just think it's great for the Magic.
All of these draft picks are finally starting to blossom. Jonathan Isaac is staying healthy.
Yes.
He did go down the other night, but it turned out that he had just got winded and nothing serious. They took him out for a few minutes and put him back in.
And the thing is, obviously, in the NBA, you really need stars. It's a star-driven league. You need at least 1 or 2 superstars on your team. The Magic had an opportunity a couple years ago to get the number 1 overall pick. First time that had happened to them in a while. They got it right. They got a guy in Paolo Banchero, who I think is a blossoming star. But also the other players they've gotten between Franz Wagner, his brother, who's not bad. Others.
Cole Anthony
has developed into a great player.
Very good.
So
Jalen
you've got, I think, a real star in Paolo Banchero, but with other really good players around him now, and I think that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the Magic again. Absolutely. Want to mention that coming up at 10:15 this morning, we're going to be talking with Dale Ann Melnick, and she is with Six Pack Recruiting. And what she does, she's based in Canada, but she actually helps young women and young men that are high school athletes secure scholarships and kind of guides them along the way, represents them to get them scholarships with college schools and programs. And we'll talk with her coming up at 10:15. I think it'll be an interesting conversation as to we can talk a little bit about what we've just been discussing about transfers and the transfer portal and all that. but we'll find out more about that. That's coming up at 10:15 this morning. Want to just mention real quick, Rays and Blue Jays opening up the Major League Baseball season on Thursday of next week at Tropicana Field. Rays have not had a good spring record-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't put stock in spring training records, but I think they're 8-14 or something like that. Reason for concern at all, or not?
I don't really necessarily think it's reason for concern. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think more the concern is that some of their top aces in the pitching staff are not going to be there due to injury, and they're going to have to make do with some of these other players. And I think it remains to be seen. You got Zach Eflin, who was really good. Some of the others, we're going to find out. You think back to the incredible start that the Rays got off to last year. And obviously, it's not realistic that they're going to get off to that start. But I've always said that early on in the Major League Baseball season, it's important to stay right around 500. Don't get yourself in a big hole. Stay around 500. You can always hit your stride later on, but you always do want to get off to a positive start and see how some of these new pitchers do.
Opening day always takes me back to taking off school and going to the baseball home opener. Did it with the Cleveland Indians a few times. And I had actually gotten a perfect attendance award numerous times in school. And it was always a decision. Do you want to give up that perfect attendance award to go to the opener and see the Indians play? And some years I didn't, some years I did. So, but it's always a lot of fun. Opening day, Major League Baseball, which comes up on Thursday. There have already been a couple of games played in South Korea between the Dodgers and the Padres, and they split. They each won one game. So that was the official opening of Major League Baseball, but everybody opens up on Thursday. So look forward to that.
Yes.
We are going to hit a break, and then we've got slammed phone lines. Don't forget, it's our NCAA women's contest today. Iowa and Connecticut, surprise, surprise, have already been chosen, but there are a lot of other good women's teams out there. So it's no blind draw or anything like that. You just pick the team you want. If it's still available, it's yours. And if they win the NCAA women's tournament, you win. We'll take a break. More of the home team coming up on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1 and 102.3, and Facebook
Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
When you talk about ice rink development in West Central Florida, one name stands alone: Iceman Development, LLC. Gordy Zimmerman, president and founder of Iceman Development, has played an integral part in the construction of the Ice Sports Forum in Brandon, the training home of the three-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Advent Health Center Ice Complex, a multi-million-dollar facility boasting 150,000 square feet, and ranked the top indoor ice rink facility by both the USA Today and Yelp. Iceman Development is currently involved in creating yet another outstanding ice rink facility in Trinity and Pasco County. Iceman's company mission is to build community projects that impact the area both in quality of life and economic growth. For more information, visit icemandevelopment.com. That's Iceman with two N's, development.com.
Folks, let me tell you about a gem of a restaurant in Carrollwood. It's Hank's Place, where you'll find some of the best barbecue, catfish, wings, sausage, gator, shrimp, and a whole lot more. Their meats are dry rubbed and slowly smoked. All of your favorite sides, too, from baked beans to collard greens to mac and cheese to onion rings. Are you hungry yet? Discover why Hank's Place at 8546 North Dale Maybury, just 100 yards north of Waters Avenue, is a place that locals have known about for years. Hey, would a guy like me lie to you about food? Hank's Place, a place to hang your hat and lick your fingers.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Vermost Insurance in Tampa Bay today at vermost.com.
Hundreds of sets of gently used golf clubs is what you'll find at T&D Golf Stores. Conveniently located at 4205 West Waters Avenue, half a mile west of Dale Mabry, T&D has the best repair facility with the largest selection of grips in stock. You'll find a wide variety of new and used golf balls, shoes, gloves, and accessories. Family owned and operated, check them out on the web at tndgolfstores.com. Open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
If there's one thing I'm particular about, it's my pizza. ABC Pizza House at 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Great specials, too, like a large one-topping pizza for just $11.99 every Monday or Thursday, or 2 pizzas with 2 toppings every Tuesday for just $22.99. Spaghetti with 1 topping every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday for just $8.99. ABC Pizza House, 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue, 813-213-0929. Open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. abcpizzahouse.com. Seeking intellectual delight? Tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. on WTAN 1340 a.m. for Legal Candy with attorney Candace Gallucci. Candace delves into property insurance, law, and other hot legal topics. Don't miss Legal Candy on WTAN 1340 a.m. Unwrap the law one bite at a time.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. We've got people waiting online for us, and we're going to get to them right away. And do want to mention your chance to get in the NCAA women's contest. The Rubber Cement Man has selected Texas as his team in the women's contest. Connecticut, Iowa, and Texas have now been chosen. But the way it works, you just pick any remaining team in the NCAA women's tournament. And it's easier because it's been pared down somewhat now. It's like the men, they've had play going on the last few days. So pick any team that's still remaining, and that is your team for the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Let's get to the phone lines. We have the one and only Rubber Cement Man, who we haven't heard from in a few weeks. Hello, RCM.
Yeah, you heard from jump in on Facebook Live.
Yeah, but I mean, you haven't called.
I haven't heard your wonderful voice. Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with you.
That's odd.
Well, Jason's saying that they shouldn't be able to. This is when you get cheated like that it's like people kneeling for the flag. That you have to have some kind of protest to show those people that they just can't do whatever they want, you know.
What are we referring to? The
NIT and USF.
Uh-huh.
You know, if they don't want to go, they don't want to go. It's just like
they did want to go.
They did want to go. Other teams have chosen not to go, and they can do whatever they want. I just don't approve of that because I think that it's an opportunity to continue playing more games and extend the season, and they're looking at it like it's not that important. Well, I mean, not all teams are going to win the championship, and I think you still
63 of them don't.
Yeah.
I think the NIT champion ought to be able to play the NCAA.
That is an idea there. Now, that's very intriguing. I mean, you think about back, the Super Bowl was formed when 2 different league champions played each other. You used to even have the pro championship team played the college championship team, the college all-stars, something like that.
Yeah.
RCM, that's actually an idea I wouldn't mind seeing. The
NCAA committee would not like that because if the NIT team won.
Hey! And that's another thing. Why? Let's see if the committee got it right by leaving that team out. I actually like that idea.
The only thing bad about that is if you could have a real blowout in that game, and it would lose its luster if the NCAA, let's say Connecticut wins the NCAA, and they end up playing. Virginia or whatever, or South Carolina.
But see, technically, they're still going to be even if whoever wins the NCAA tournament, they're technically the national champion. Whether they lose in the NIT champion is not going to change that.
Well, a lot of people might say they are the champions now because they beat them.
Of course, but that would be the intriguing
UCF
thing.
Did. They proclaimed themselves national champions.
But I would love to see, just out of curiosity. I mean, that would be an intriguing thing. The NCAA tournament champion versus the NIT champion. It's not necessarily going to establish they both have won championships of their own tournaments, but just for fun. That would be something.
Well, yeah. I just think you'd have a lot of blowouts too. I really do.
Not necessarily.
You have blowouts in the football game.
Yeah. Some of the national title games have been blowouts. That's true. That's true. Listen, for the longest time, most of the Super Bowls were blowouts. You could always count that the Super Bowl would be a dud. It was that way for years.
Well, you know what I could see happening is a lot of teams would try and get into the NIT because it'd be an easier path to win the NIT and then just play one game for the championship.
Well, but see again, but you wouldn't be technically the national champion. That's the whole point I'm saying. NIT
if you beat the national champion.
Well, you might be perceived as the national champion, but on paper you're not the national champion. That's the whole point.
Even more confusing.
Yeah, but that's why I think it's an intriguing idea, though. I think it's neat.
RCM, you're selecting Texas, correct, for your women's team?
Yeah, I also think that you ought to give us a chance to pick the team that we want in the men, because all we got, and if more people want to pick the same team, let's just say I like Houston. So let's say people pick Houston, then you just have the tiebreaker to be how many points will they score if they win?
Yeah, it's not as fun. So many people would pick the same teams, though. Yeah. That's not as much fun.
I mean, we're seeing it with the women's tournament right away. Iowa and Connecticut are the first two off the board.
And everyone's going to pick Houston. They're going to pick North Carolina. They're going to pick UConn, Purdue, the top teams.
That's what they're doing in the women.
Yeah, I know. And the reason we're doing it this way is that the tournament's already underway and we don't have time to go through the entire 64-team tournament field for the women. So we're just doing it a simple way this way. But if you did the men's, you'd have 14 people picking one team, 14 picking another, and you'd have nobody picking 62 of the 64 teams.
Yeah, but then you really have. It's more skill-based, because if you just get a number,
it is more skill-based. But if everybody picks the same teams, then it's not really a contest.
But everybody's not going to pick the same teams, and not only that, you have a tiebreaker with just like you do when you have the football.
Most people won't pick the same teams. They'll try to get the favorites.
Yeah. Well, when you have your own show, you can do the contest any way you want.
Okay, I'm just making a suggestion. My goodness.
No.
I did like the suggestion about the tournament versus the NIT champion, though. That would just be, not that it's going to happen, but it's an intriguing idea.
All right,
okay,
RCM.
Well, since you like my idea, Jason, send me an Alessi Bakery coupon, and I'll come over there and we'll talk about it.
Okay, come by. Come on by first, and then we'll see.
All right, Rubber Cement Man, we appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
Thanks so much. All right. Liz has selected Ohio State in the women's tournament. That is her team. And again, you just pick any team you want that's still available.
That was the game. I think Caitlin Clark by a fan rang on the court in that game. Ran into her.
Yeah.
That was the Ohio State game, right?
Yeah.
That was a couple of incidents there. Of course, the Duke player got hurt when I think the Wake Forest fans stormed the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's dangerous. It can be very dangerous. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk to Donald next. Hello, Donald. You're on the home team.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, Donald.
Morning.
How you guys doing? Hope all is well.
Doing well. Are you out fishing today?
Oh, heck no. It's been bad the past few days. Actually, I'm going tomorrow. I'm at the bass fishing tournament out of my kayak up in Homosassa on the Halls River.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's my first ever professional bass tournament. I'm fishing with Bass Nation, the nationwide organization through Bassmasters. So, but it's a kayak division.
What are the qualifications of being a professional fisherman?
You have to pay money.
Okay.
and then you get a check if you win.
All right.
I'm actually
so not a skill level or anything. It's just if you're opening up the wall.
I just want to say I'm actually going fishing this Monday. I'm going with my brother. We're going out. Yeah, we're going with Donnie. I'm sure you've heard Scott Moore. We're going. It's his son, Justin Moore. We're going to be going out with them on the boats. And it's going to be the first time I've gone fishing in well over 10 years. I'm looking forward to it. You know how to bait
the hook and all that?
I let someone else do that stuff.
No,
I know I could do it, but I let someone else. I want to stick my finger.
I'm laughing because that's always been my concern when I watch people putting the bait on the hook.
I have done it myself, but it's that little bait squirming around, the hooks kind of moving around, and you never know.
Now, did you use live bait or did you just use
live bait,
like frozen or like just the plastic thing?
No, usually live bait.
Donald, is live bait better than any other kind of bait for fishing?
No.
It's not.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I don't throw live bait. I throw artificials. Right, soft plastics are my main thing. Because you can work when you throw out a live bait out there. It's up to what the live bait. I mean, it could die within the seconds or whatever, and you really can't work it like you can a lure. So you can work that lure. You could bounce it off the bottom. You could slow retrieve it, fast retrieve it. You can work a lure, and I have caught much better fish on soft plastics than live bait.
Do people still use worms?
For crappie fishing and bass fishing.
Okay, right.
So the bass tournament is all artificial.
Mm-hmm. The worst part about using worms though is that often they turn.
Move on. They're not even respond.
It's a good shot.
Wasn't that funny?
I had to get something. I'm welcoming you back, Jason. You haven't had this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
thankfully.
Yeah. There you go.
Jason, you're going out with a legend's son. I mean, Justin is awesome, but his father, Scott Moore, was like the godfather of Tampa Bay.
My dad and my dad's cousin were kind of the ones responsible for starting Scott Moore's career. They found years ago they were looking for a guy to take them out fishing, and they were at a seafood restaurant, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, one of my cooks in the back. He knows fishing very well. Let me introduce you." It was Scott Moore. He was working the restaurant. They went out with him, caught a ton of fish, and they told Scott, "Hey, you need to do this. You're so good at this. You need to do this for a living." And the rest is history.
And absolutely, Scott Moore is just, I mean, just picking his brain about Tampa Bay fishing.
Yes.
I mean, he's like I said, the godfather is fishing at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we went out. As a kid, I went out with him and my dad and my parents and others many a times. And the last time I actually went fishing was with Justin. Yeah, and Justin, his son, does a great job as well. So we're excited about that.
By the way, Donald, someone has taken issue with you on Facebook Live. They said the poor fish, they don't get treats when you use plastic lures.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So people are kind of upset with you about that. So I just thought I'd pass that along. All right, Donald, thanks so much. We got you down as taking Connecticut, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go Huskies.
Okay, Connecticut.
Our good friend Art used to call it.
Yeah. Thanks, Donald. We appreciate it.
All right, you guys take care. Hey, have a great time out there, Jason.
Thank you so much, Donald. Push you up. I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. We need to hit a break, and then Greg Linnelli from the Tampa Bay Lightning Radio Network will be joining us on the other side. Stay right where you're at. Again, you can get into the contest. Thus far, Iowa, Connecticut, Texas, and Ohio State have been chosen on the women's side, and any other team is available to you. South Carolina is always a powerful team, and there's some others out there as well. More of the home team coming up on the Tan Talk Radio Network, FM 106.1, 102.3, AM 1340 and 1350, and of course on Facebook
Live.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
There's no place like this place anywhere near this place, so this must be the place. That's what they've been saying about the Palm Pavilion since 1926. The Palm Pavilion on the north end of the sparkling beach is a Clearwater beach landmark. Situated directly on the beach overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, the Palm Pavilion Pavilion is the place to order cool tropical drinks and watch spectacular sunsets. Tempt your taste buds with perfect pasta, sizzling steaks, chicken or seafood wraps, shrimp and crab chowder. Come for a day or stay for the night. A casual atmosphere featuring live entertainment on the deck. The Palm Pavilion Inn and Beachside Grill and Bar on sparkling Clearwater Beach. Visit them on the web at palmpavilion.com, or better yet, visit in person, 10 Bay Esplanade on the north end of Clearwater Beach. The Palm Pavilion Inn and Beachside Grill. We're talking with Pastor Chris Bonham, the senior executive pastor at Grace Family Church. And it's been around for a while, Pastor Chris. What do you attribute the longevity to?
We've been around for 27 years, and our senior pastor, Craig Altman, always has had the value of being real, being genuine. And I think that's really been the key to our longevity. The message hasn't changed. We're always going to be Bible-based, Bible-centered, but our genuineness allows us, as we've grown, to show we're not perfect. We're not always going to do everything right. And that allows us to be real. And I think when people see that, that's very inviting to them to realize they don't have to just be perfect as well. They can come just like they are, and God can meet them right where they're at.
You'll find services on both Saturday and Sunday at Grace Family Church, so check it out.
Grace Family Church, now with 8 locations, the newest at State Route 54 and Suncoast Parkway.
This is Paul Porter. For the past 12 years, we've not endorsed an air conditioning company on the home team. Until now, I'm happy to tell you about the family-owned and operated air conditioning company, Action Air Conditioning. David Russell and his family run their business with 3 principles in mind: honesty, integrity, and reliability. They've been in business since 1988. They service the entire home team listing area. From service to AC checkups to a whole new system, Action Air Conditioning is the AC company for you. Why do I speak so highly of Action Air Conditioning? I've used them many times at multiple properties, and I've been completely satisfied every time. Visit them on the web at actionairconditioning.com. That's actionairconditioning.com. Or you can call them at 813-935-6644. If you're in need of an air conditioning company, take it from me. Action Air is your company. 813-935-6644. 813-935-6644. actionairconditioning.com. This is Paul Porter. 10 years ago, my wife and I started a nonprofit ministry to help victims of domestic violence called Reach Out, Speak Out. I'm asking you, my loyal listeners, to consider a donation to help our ministry. If you'd like to join our auxiliary board or just be a friend to Reach Out, Speak Out by helping with your time, talents, or treasures whenever you're available, please contact us by visiting reachoutspeakout.org. Please send your donation to Post Office Box 4979, Tampa, Florida 33677. That's Reach Out, Speak Out, Post Office Box 4979, Tampa, Florida 33677. 501c3 number 471630804. No gift is too large or small, and all gifts are tax deductible. Thank you in advance for your help, and I hope you'll join us making a difference in our community.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. Glad to have you with us, and you can join us on the phone lines, which have been slammed this morning, but they are open now. 727-441-3000, 727-441-3000. We mentioned the Lightning have been on a tear. They've won 5 in a row, going for 6 tonight in L.A. against the Kings, and a guy who's going to be up very late tonight. Not me, not Jason, but Greg Linnelli, the host of the pre- and post-game show on the Lightning Radio Network, joining us. Greg, welcome back to the home team.
Guys, it's great to be with you. I'm drinking my coffee as we speak.
Smart man, smart man, because not only do you have the late-night hockey games, but you've had a new addition to the Linnelli family that's, I'm sure, keeping you busy.
Yeah, we brought into the world a little boy, Lorenzo Linnelli. So he came in 2 weeks ago.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
And,
wonderful.
I appreciate that. And as you know, with newborns, sleep is few and far between.
Yeah.
But you know what? We persevere. We persevere.
I love that name, by the way, Lorenzo Linnelli. It just kind of goes.
Great ring to it. Yes.
It rolls off your tongue real easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good choice on that. Greg, the Lightning have been doing unbelievable ever since the arrival of Anthony Duclair and the arrival of Matt Dumba. I was joking a few weeks back, did the Lightning make a Dumba trade? But it's certainly true now that it's not been a Dumba trade. It's been a good trade. How much of the new arrival of these two new players do you attribute to the Lightning's recent success?
I think it's fair to say a lot. And the reason I say that, and the guys who are in that locker room more than we are, will tell you, not only have they been productive guys on the ice, but off of it, and injecting a lot of personality into the locker room. We know during an 82-game season, things can get monotonous, they can get dull. And I think for a team like the Lightning, who's had a lot of success over the years, the regular season can be a grind because, listen, the goal for them, it's not to win their division, it's to win the Stanley Cup. But you got to play those 82 games to get there. And I think bringing those two guys in has injected a little bit more emotion, a little bit more personality. Pat Maroon was probably a guy, Zach Bogosian, that used to, be fun-loving, joke around a lot in the locker room. And I think when those guys left, you missed that a little bit. I think these guys have been brought in, not only been productive on the ice, but certainly have injected a different type of personality in the locker room. It was interesting, guys, when the trade deadline was near. Dave Michigan and I, we do a show noon to 1 on Power Lunch on Lightning Radio, and we were talking about what can the Lightning do at the trade deadline, because they don't have any draft picks other teams maybe would want. But in a perfect world, you'd love to address depth scoring and maybe something on the back end because of Sergachev's injury. Julian Breezewell found a way to do both, and I think this sets them up to be a really tough team to face come playoff time. Obviously, they have to make it. We think they will. But it changes, I think, a little bit the dynamic of this Lightning team.
Well, Greg, I know in the NHL more than some of the other sports where you have the series, the lower seeds have shown that they can make a run. Some of them have won the title. And I know with the Lightning having the experience of done it for several years now recently, I think that they have a shot at it. They just weren't playing with a lot of consistency this year, but now they're on this win streak. They've beaten some of the best teams in the league. So I have to think that they put themselves back in the talk of being a Stanley Cup contender this year, if, of course, assuming they make it number one, but if they can keep this type of momentum up going into the playoffs, I think they're going to be a dangerous team for anyone to face.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that there are two reasons why. Andrei Vasilevsky has been phenomenal, and we know he can be a difference maker come playoff time. If he's getting back to the level we've seen in previous years, then I think it makes the other team they're facing very uncomfortable. The other thing, too, is keep in mind, they're probably going to be the underdog going into the playoffs. I mean, most likely they're going to be a wild card team. A lot of people, and I use national experts loosely because I think a lot of times they get it wrong when it comes to Tampa Bay. But I think they've basically written them off. They'll say things like, well, they're a playoff team, but I think the days of them winning cups and challenging for cups probably are by the wayside. I don't believe that because there's enough there from the core perspective on that roster that they're a very dangerous team. And I think as long as you have Vasi, which we just spoke about, Kucherov, it looks like this is one of those years where he could carry a team in the playoffs again. The fact that they'll probably be an underdog in these playoffs, man, that is a powerful tool that they can use to their advantage once the postseason begins.
Greg, we look at it, and their likely first-round opponent would be either Boston, the New York Rangers, or the Florida Panthers. Of those three teams, do they match up better with any one of the three?
So I think the Bruins, for me, would be the one that I'd probably want to face more so than the other two. I think, one, there's a lot of familiarity with Boston over the years, not to take anything away from the Panthers, of course. I think the Panthers are just a really well-rounded team. I'd rather face them 2 rounds into the playoffs than that first round. The Rangers are a stacked team, too. And do they have the one goaltender who probably could go toe-to-toe a little bit with Andrei Vasilevsky? Probably. I think Boston is a good team, but I think that's a matchup I wouldn't be too uncomfortable about, because I think Boston still has the same question marks for me that they've had over the last handful of years. Do they have enough depth scoring, and what are you getting in net? And I think those questions probably still persist and won't go away should they face the Tampa Bay Lightning.
When you look at Andrei Vasilevsky, Greg, and we're talking with Greg Linnelli from the Tampa Bay Lightning Radio Network, the pre- and post-game host and intermission host, when you look at Andrei Vasilevsky, there was a stretch where he looked very average at best, giving up 3, 4, 5 goals a game. Now, what's happening that he is starting to find his edge? Is it just he's finally getting back in the groove, or the added help on defense helping him? What do you think it is?
I think that former, Paul. I do. I think if you are of the opinion that Vasi has played a lot of hockey over the years, and he didn't have a training camp, and the first 20 games of the season he was out, that there was going to be some rust that he had to knock off, and that maybe it took him into the 55th or 60th game of the year to get back to where he was. I'll buy that. Chief, we'll talk about that as well. I mean, it looks like he's tracking the puck better. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think the Lightning have done him favors defensively either, though. I think they still have a tendency to turn the puck over in their own zone and put their goaltenders in tough spots at times. I actually think one of the bright spots this year has been the tandem of Vasilevsky and Johansson. When you factor in how shaky the Lightning have been a little bit defensively this year. And I do think Vasi, it took him a bit to recover, to feel good after the surgery, but he did miss all of training camp. And so I think he probably used a good portion of the regular season to find his groove, and he's doing it against NHL regulars. He's not doing it in exhibition games where you're taking on maybe not full NHL rosters either. So I think there's a component of that. And then I think also, too, I think there is something that goes into the athlete who knows the postseason is nearing. Let's bear down these last 15 games. Let's get a little more focused, and let's get ready for the postseason. I think there's a little bit of that going there, too. But I think it's just him knocking off the rust after missing training camp and the first few games of the regular season.
Greg, we've only got a minute left, but I want to get your thoughts on it. For a while, there was about 5 teams competing for that last playoff spot. Now it seems as though it's come down to a race between Detroit and Washington. Who do you see prevailing there, and who's going to be on the outside looking in?
Yeah, it's funny because Detroit, they have just really soiled the bed in many ways because they had a pretty comfortable lead, and then they had a bad losing streak. They've won 2 in a row. To answer your question, I'll stick with Detroit. We'll see if Washington can catch them. Ovechkin is certainly picking things up, but they're a minus 30 in the goal differential department. That number does not lie. So I think there's some deficiencies there. I'll stick with Detroit. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'll see what happens, and get some rest today because you're going to be up late tonight, a 10:30 start, not a 10 o'clock start on the Lightning radio.
Thanks for reminding me, Paul.
Yeah. You'll come on at about 10 o'clock with the pregame. And, well, just so you know, Greg, I'll be listening on my way home from the Magic game. So they're playing tonight at home, and I usually get out of there at about 9:30.
Okay.
And I can pick the station up right about 10 o'clock. So I'll be tuning in right about the time that you hit the air. And I don't know if I'll make it as late as you, but I will definitely hear the beginning of the broadcast anyway.
Well, safe travels back. I thought you were going to say I'm going to put you to sleep.
No.
Which would be the first time. But I will. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Greg. Thanks so much, and congratulations on the newest arrival there, Lorenzo Linnelli. We are going to take our break for the top of the hour. Hour number 2 of the home team coming up here on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1 and 102.3, and Facebook
Live.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City,
FM 102.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Stacey Lynn. New details about a mass shooting at a Russian concert venue. Former CBS News Moscow bureau chief Beth Noble.
Russian President Vladimir Putin gave a video address to the nation in which he said that 11 people have been detained, including 4 who were the shooters at the Crocus City concert hall. President Putin said the perpetrators were detained as they were heading for Ukraine, where a window in the border had been opened for them to leave Russia. It's rather predictable that the Russians would try to pin this on Ukraine, but there simply isn't any evidence at this point that that's true.
At least 115 were killed in the attack, more than 140 injured. A delegation from Israel is heading to Washington this week, where U.S. officials will push them to hold off on a ground operation in Rafah. Details from CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd.
We're in a race against time in Gaza, a race to save hostages, a race to save innocent civilians, and a race to prevent Israel from doing something that could damage its security over the long term.
The vice president is in Parkland, Florida today, where she'll meet with loved ones of those killed in a massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School 6 years ago.
While visiting the school, the vice president will announce the Biden administration is launching a national extreme risk protection order resource center to help states with training and implementation of their local red flag laws. The administration is also urging states to use the $750 million in federal funding available for state crisis intervention programs. The White House says currently only 6 of the 21 states with red flag laws are accessing that funding. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
A sigh of relief for government workers. Congress passed a bipartisan spending bill around 2 a.m. this morning that will keep the business running and funded for the rest of the year. President Biden will sign it today. Well, following weeks of speculation about her health, Kate Middleton announced yesterday she has cancer. CBS's Charlie D'Agata is outside Buckingham Palace.
She always ranks as one of the most popular royals. So I guarantee you, over the course of the next few days, the next few weeks, everybody will turn from what is the palace trying to hide to is Kate going to be okay?
All right, here were the numbers.
Our first winning number tonight is 3. That's followed by 8. Up next, we have 44.
But no one hit them all. And so the Mega Millions jackpot swells to over $1 billion, $1.1 billion to be exact. There have been 30 drawings without a win. The next drawing is Tuesday night. Tonight could be your lucky Powerball night, too. That jackpot has reached $750 million. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. See why over 28 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
This is Downtown Dade. How would you like to be able to promote yourself, your business, or someone else's business for less than the cost of one 60-second commercial on many Tampa Bay radio stations? Here's the deal. You can have your own 1-hour radio program on the TAN Talk Network for less than the cost of one 60-second announcement on many Tampa Bay stations. Your program will be on 2 Tampa Bay radio stations and will cover 4 million people in Florida, plus worldwide on the internet in both audio and video. And you'll have a web link for your business on the TAN Talk 1340 website. We provide the producer, the state-of-the-art equipment, free production of commercials, and much more. Check it out today. Call Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at 727-510-7622. That's 510-7622. Call Lola O'Brien now, 727-510-7622. Call now and your 1-hour radio program can start tomorrow. Call 510-7622 for Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Why is it conservatives find it impossible to tell the truth? They even invented alternative facts, which, as we all know, is simply a dog whistle for lies. If you're ready for just plain straight talk about events of the day and the real facts to back it up, join Ed Golly every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. for the Voice of Reason here on the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Tune in from 6 to 7 p.m. Tuesday nights for Becoming an Actor with David Sarkuza. David's got months and months of experience producing, writing, and acting. He's known as a huge Hollywood star by many friends and family members in the Hollywood of the East, Clearwater, Florida. And now he's willing to share all that accumulated knowledge and expertise since 2021 with you, his favorite listeners, in just 1 short hour. Becoming an Actor with David Sarkuza will help you learn all of the things that David wished he knew before he stepped onto his first set as an actor.
Pan-Hellenic News, on air live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. at 106.1 FM. Pan-Hellenic News, radio program from the Pan-Hellenic Federation of Florida, Wednesday at 4 p.m. Greek news, entertainment and culture.
Για νέα και για τον ελληνισμό. Μείνετε συντονισμένοι. Stay tuned.
This is Paul Porter, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with some exciting news. My radio program can now be heard on the TAN Talk Radio Network every Saturday morning from 9 to 11. We take your phone calls, give you the latest news on all of our home teams, and have contest and prize giveaways. Join Jason Alessi and me every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. for the home team on FM 106.1 and AM 1340. Also on Facebook Live, the home team with Paul Porter.
Tampa Bay's TAN Talk, entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
The Rays have won the American League pennant. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup. When the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady. I don't know why we ever think it won't. It's time for the home team. The home team is brought to you in part by Grace Family Church. Just try it. By Tampa Bay area Chick-fil-A restaurants. By Vermost Insurance. By Mahoney's Auto Repair. By the Palm Pavilion on Clearwater Beach. By Irish 31, the place to catch your favorite team in action. By Iceman Development, LLC. And now, here he is, the arena voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning and Orlando Magic, and the press box voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Paul Porter.
Thank you, Bill Carl, and welcome to hour number 2 of the home team. Glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining us and making us a part of your Saturday. You know who's watching on Facebook Live right now, Jason?
Who's that?
A name that I think you'll remember. She was the general manager at our previous station for many, many years. And just retired just before we actually ended up leaving that station. But Barb Yoder is joining us on Facebook
well, hello,
Live. Barb, good to have you with us. She's remained a good friend of mine, and we've talked back and forth on Facebook, and glad to have her with us as well, joining us here on Facebook Live. Also, want to remind you that we're doing the NCAA Women's Contest today. Thus far, Iowa, Connecticut, Texas, and Ohio State have been selected, but anyone else is available. Any other team is available if you want to go ahead and select your team. And, of course, you can join us on the phone lines. They've been slammed this morning, but we have an open line right now at 727-441-3000, 727-441-3000. Coming up at 10:15, Dale Melnick from Six Pack Recruiting, based out of Canada, is going to be joining us, and we'll talk about college recruiting and getting scholarships and that sort of thing. But you know, it's kind of a neat lead-in, I think, Jason. We've talked about it in the first hour that college sports are really, really changing.
Yes.
With all of the transfer portals and athletes deciding to go into the NBA and the NFL and make themselves available. Really do think something has to be done before college sports deteriorate anymore.
Well, they open up that can of worms. And, of course, the whole thing with the money situation, I know in the past you typically felt that if for a person who's getting a scholarship, a free scholarship to go to college, that is the payment in and of itself. You're getting an opportunity to play a sport, to go to the next level, worth a lot of money, but also going to get an education, which the whole point of college is the education part, number one. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what's been lost and has gone by the wayside. You know, the old, you used to see the commercial talking about all the people who are student athletes. They say 90% of us are going pro. It's something other than sports, those commercials. And that's the truth. So if you basically are sending a young man or woman to a university if they have no intention of looking at a career or learning or looking at things outside of the sports, okay, what happens if their sports career doesn't work out?
Which is usually the case.
So what are they left with?
Mm-hmm.
And they have an opportunity to go there to find something else, to find another career path. Now, if they choose not to do it, that's their own fault. But this is certainly the new process is enabling them not to care anything about the education part of the school.
I had a number of people say how important it is to get that education because you're not going to, there's such a small percentage that make it into the NBA and the NFL.
Don't put your eggs in the one basket. You have to have other options, okay? And certainly a work ethic is part. I think anyone who has a work ethic can work hard and can find a job, but you have an opportunity to go to school to find a certain field that that could interest you, to say, okay, if it doesn't work out in sports, I'd like to do this or do that, a certain business side, getting a degree. I think those things are important, but those things have all been lost. And not to mention that now, if a player can basically bounce from one school to another from year to year, that's not what the whole purpose of going to college was intended for either. And I do think it's hurt the whole thing.
And on the other side of that, I think they have to start cracking down more on the universities themselves. I know for a fact that there are a lot of college athletes that never step into the classroom.
Yeah.
They have someone else there to take notes and take their tests for them. They are there to play basketball or to play football, and they never even show any interest in going into the classroom. And that's not fair to the other students.
Not at all. And the universities are responsible for that if they knew that, but because they figure, well, the athlete is going to bring them in popular, it's going to bring them money.
Sure.
We're going to look the other way. No. What do you stand for? Are you a place of higher education? Obviously, in some cases, not. If you're allowing that, there has to be, and that's why there are some schools that have certain academic standards that they do not deviate from. I know things have changed on that. Some may not be what they used to, but I think some still have a pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have a certain grade point average to be able to participate in the athletics.
I guarantee
and they do not change from that.
Those players at Yale that won yesterday for the second time in school history, they are in the classroom.
Yes, they
if
are.
You're going to Yale, you're not going to have someone else
that's right.
taking your test.
I just think that the overall thing, listen, when it comes to be about money and money in and of itself, that's a problem. Because there's got to be more than just about the money. But when it's so much about the money, you choose to ignore everything else, what college is supposed to be about, what the person, the student athlete is. If you figure it's all about what they can bring in terms of money-wise and nothing else, that's what has been the downfall of the college system, and that needs to change.
We're going to get into this in more detail with Dale Ann Melnick from Six Pack Recruiting right after our break. If you have a question for her, she knows a lot about college recruiting and college scholarships. Feel free to put it on Facebook Live, or if you want to dial us up, you can share it through Matt. He can take care of the question as well. More of the home team coming up on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1 and 102.3, and Facebook
Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hi, Paul Porter here, asking for your help. Bobby Maggie at Maggie Tax and Maggie Gives Back Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, supports and devotes its resources to assisting people in need. The Maggie Gives Back Foundation strives to help families who have fallen on hard times and are at risk of losing their homes with 1 year of mortgage or lease payments. Help us nominate a deserving family, and we need your help. If you share our belief in giving a hand up, not a handout, then we urge you to donate or nominate today to MaggieGivesBack.com. To nominate a deserving family, visit www.MaggieGivesBack.com or call us for program details. Once again, that's www.MaggieGivesBack.com or call 813-850-0131 for details.
What is Irish 31? It's the People's Pub, inspired by former USF football star Jay Mize, who wore number 31 for the green and gold. Irish 31, with 7 Florida West Coast locations, is your place to enjoy your favorite team in action. From Bucks to Bulls, Rays to Bolts, enjoy your favorite beverage or sample delicious food from their chef-inspired menu. Check out irish31.com to find the location nearest to you. Irish 31, your home team headquarters. Honest Mahoney's. That's what people have been calling LZ Mahoney for more than 35 years. Honest LZ Mahoney. The name really says it all. Mahoney's Auto Repair is a place you can trust. In fact, it was some of his loyal customers that came up with the name. Generations of people who've been taking their cars to 4040 54th Avenue North for 3.5 decades. Do you need some work done on your car? If his loyal customers call him Honest Mahoney's, that should tell you something right there. The next time you need work done on your car, take it to my friend LZ Mahoney's. He's been a part of the home team for nearly 20 years. Mahoney's Auto Repair. Or just remember Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, a place that people have called home for more than 35 years. Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. This is Paul Porter to tell you about the place to save big dollars on nearly new hockey, golf, baseball, and football equipment, and more. Check out Second Time Sports, Main Street, next to Walmart, just west of Belcher. Gently used sports equipment at significant savings is what you'll find at Second Time Sports. Call 727-784-0007 or check them out at secondtimesports.com. Don't pay full price for sports equipment without first checking out Second Time Sports, 2104 Main Street, just west of Belcher, next to Walmart. My new windows from FAS Windows and Doors are in. I couldn't be happier with the job they did, from measuring perfectly to prompt and exact installation. How did I choose FAS over all the other window companies? I've known Ernie and John Wilding for nearly 20 years. They're Central Florida and West Central Florida's largest volume window and door dealer, with showrooms and distribution facilities in both Tampa and Orlando. As you know, I never endorse a product or service unless I've used them or thoroughly researched them. Their objective is providing the best quality windows and doors on the market at reasonable prices with a customer service level that is unsurpassed in the industry. Never an obligation when you call 866-737-7173 or visit them on the internet at faswd.com. Call 866-737-7173. You'll be glad you did. I sure am.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. Glad to have you with us as we continue along. Want to say hello to Yehudi watching on Facebook Live. You remember
right,
Yehudi?
yes, absolutely. Hello, Yehudi.
Glad to have you with us. And we actually have a possibility, Jason, of one school winning both the men's and women's tournament. Connecticut is they're the number one seed overall in the men's tournament and looking strong as far as the women's tournament.
Well, they've done that before. I think they've won it probably on several occasions. They've won in both because they generally are a powerhouse in both.
Very unusual for that to happen, but Connecticut is one team that has been able to accomplish that. I want to bring in our next guest, and that is Dale Ann Melnick from Six Pack Recruiting up in St. Catharines, Ontario. Dale Ann, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul.
Well, we appreciate you coming on board. We've been talking a lot of college sports today with the NCAA men's and women's tournaments going on, and certainly lots to talk about. Tell us a little bit about Six Pack Recruiting and what you do.
I'm so proud of what we've created here. In 2018, I decided to start a recruiting agency for our Canadian athletes. And I realized there wasn't really anything out there that was providing the correct information. So the right information the first time to our young high school-aged athletes. Here I am 6 years later. We have supported kids from all over North America. We're in Australia, we're in New Zealand, we're in China, and we're just helping the parents and the athletes navigate this crazy crazy recruiting world to get into college, into the right colleges.
It really is a crazy recruiting world. That's very well
Well,
said.
we've talked about how much it's changed, and of course in recent years with transfer portals, the money, the NIL likeness money. So I know I'm sure. How is that? Tell us about the challenges with that, going through and working through all those sorts of things.
I mean, you'll get a kick out of this. I went to the University of Georgia, and in my day, I had to write or type a letter and send a VHS tape. Okay. Now we're looking at YouTube videos. We're looking at Instagram, Twitter, all of the tools you can use to get recruited. But NIL, that's such an interesting twist to this whole recruiting. As an international athlete, you're not eligible for NIL. It's against your student visa. But the U.S. athletes that are able to sign an NIL deal, I mean, some of these athletes are making more money in college than they will as a professional athlete. So it's quite an interesting twist, which is causing havoc. I mean, some of the big sports, it makes sense, right? But it's causing havoc with the transfer portal. So gone are the days you commit to a school and you stay. But now it's like, hey, I'm not really happy here, but I can make a lot of money, and it's maybe not as great academically. I'm going to go there to make, the financial gain.
And when you think about it, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, no. I was just going to say, when you think about so many people who have to pay a great deal of money to go to college, to get an education, but yet so many now seem to go to college and get paid. It's kind of a reverse situation.
Exactly. It's such a tricky situation. And so one thing that we teach our athletes, just so you know, like we mentor the athletes to navigate the process. So they drive the bus. We just keep pushing the bus along, kicking open doors for them, push them through the door, but they are the ones driving the bus. So for us, the first thing, and I love how you chatted just briefly earlier about the academic side, we make sure that they take care of their academics first. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, maybe 1% will play professional and make enough money to be able to support themselves.
If that.
So we really push them on the academic side. And that's money you can control, right? That's up to you. Athletically, it's very subjective. So it's up to the coach whether or not they will award an athlete financial athletic money. So yeah, it's become such a different way for coaches to recruit, for athletes to get recruited. And I know money is a big part of it.
We're talking with Dale Ann Melnick from Six Pack Recruiting. Dale Ann, take us through the process, if you will. If someone comes to you or is looking for help, how do you determine if they really do have some potential and you might be able to help them? Do you have to turn anyone down and say, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but dear, you just don't have it, and it's not going to work. Take us through the process of how you determine who you work with.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Our business is 100% family owned and operated. So my stepdaughter, who's just an absolute rock star, she'll meet with every single athlete that's interested in receiving my support, right? So she'll speak to every athlete. I will communicate with the athlete, get an idea of what their background is like academically and athletically. We'll take a look at their video. I'll even go and watch them play if they're close or if I'm nearby for a tournament. From there, we have turned down athletes before, Paul, because some athletes just aren't ready to be recruited. The other is I have 20 plus years of coaching both domestically and internationally. So with University and Volleyball Canada. And it's really important for me to make sure that when I'm identifying athletes, I want to make sure that I'm truthful and transparent with them about their skill set. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be a dream crusher. Listen, everybody I talk to, they want to go to UCLA or Florida State or the University of Florida. They all want to go to these big schools. But athletes have to understand their lane. So this is where I just really want to keep my integrity in check and make sure I give them an honest evaluation. Having played at the University of Georgia, won a couple of championships, SEC championships, and just coached at such a high level, I feel like I'm the right person to be able to give them feedback about their level of play.
We had a question.
It's also important. Yeah, go for it.
We have a question from Julius on Facebook Live, and he says, how is Six-Pack different than other recruiters? I don't want to commit to an expensive company only to be disappointed. I want to make sure that I want to be with someone who will get me recruited.
Yeah, my favorite. What I love about all the athletes and parents that I support, the first thing they say is, Dale, you have such a personal connection. So that was my number one when I started Six-Pack Recruiting. I wanted to make sure that athletes had access to me and that they only spoke to me and they didn't get filtered off to, here, read this flyer or watch this video. I wanted to make sure that we had a personal touch. I also wanted to make sure that it was priced that everybody could afford the recruiting support. I know it's big business. At the same time, I understand the value and the need. So it's very expensive to go to school in the U.S. And anything we can do to support a student athlete to be awarded academic and athletic awards, I mean, that's a win-win for me.
And you deal in, you always hear about football and basketball, but you deal in other sports too. I know women's volleyball is a very popular sport and attracting many young women from all over the world to take part in that. It's not just about football and basketball, right?
No. Hey, listen, you know how I said athletes need to know their lane? I know my lane as well. Football is a different beast. Although I love it, I went to school with Herschel Walker. I totally get football is a completely different beast, just like hockey. But we primarily support women's volleyball, men's volleyball, and women's beach volleyball. We've had athletes sign with Stanford, USC, Florida Atlantic, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas State, Oklahoma. We've had athletes sign with monster schools as well, not just Division I, but as well as junior college. So for us to educate the families that there's more than Division I sports, right? At the end of the day, it's all about the academics. And yes, you want to play at the highest possible level, but maybe you don't know where your perfect fit is. And your ideal dream school could be right in your backyard, and that could be a junior college. You don't know what you don't know.
Outstanding. Well, Dale Ann, if people want to get more information or want to get in touch with you, or and I was really impressed by the fact that you said that you actually turned some down. It's not just write us a check and we'll take you on.
No.
You're not going to waste their time and money if you don't feel as though that you can actually help them. How do they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to go right to our website. It's called Six-Pack Recruiting Sports. All they have to do is click on Book a Call with Dale, and Lexi or myself will reach out.
All right. And this can be done over the phone or Zoom or any way. They don't have to come to Canada in order to talk with you.
No, everything's done through Zoom. We can be anywhere in the world. Like I said, I work with athletes overseas, and we are 24/7 talking to athletes, which is really great.
Well, I want to tell you, Dale Ann, you have made history today, and you probably don't even realize it, but I want to tell you how you've made history today. You have become the first man or woman to be on both the Pat Porter and Paul Porter shows.
How about that?
And it's never happened before, but you are the first. I know that you are a supporter of my brother's radio show up in Niagara Falls, and now you're a supporter of his brother's radio show.
I love it.
I'm the younger, better looking one, just in case you get confused.
Absolutely.
He's a jokester
sure
too, so you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Dale, and one more time, if you would give us that the website that people can get in touch with.
Sure. Go to Six-Pack Recruiting Sports. Just click on Book a Call with Dale, and I'll be able to chat with you.
And that's SIX Pack Recruiting Sport.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And that's .com or .ca or both?
It's .com.
.com. All right.
SixPackRecruitingSports.com.
Outstanding. Dale Ann, thanks so much. We'd love to have you back on again down the road and
Thank you.
talk
I love
more
it.
with us. All right.
Yeah, we'll talk about Pat.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Thank you so much, Dale.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Have a great day.
All right,
Take
you
care.
do the same. Very interesting comments.
Absolutely.
And, I really like what she said about it's all about the academics.
Yes.
Getting someone to a school that they can get a good education, economically or sometimes free, totally free. And yes, if they are hit it good in sports, great. But now you got something to fall back
Sure,
on.
giving them the best opportunity to succeed at life and something, potentially other than sports.
Yeah,
that's the important part.
No doubt about it. We're overdue for a break. We're going to do that, and we'll come back with more of the home team. Again, you can join us. Don in St. Petersburg has selected Stanford as his team in the women's tournament. I always like the nickname that Stanford and the mascot.
Cardinal and of course the tree is the mascot. Yeah.
Very maybe the most unique mascot in college
I don't know how they came up with that one, but that's interesting because I mean the name of course is the Cardinal and the Cardinal. I initially when I first heard it, I thought it's the Cardinals like the bird. No, the Cardinal red is basically what it stands for. The Cardinal being the color red.
Of course, you remember the famous line, "Oh no, the band is out on the field."
Them and Cal, one of the biggest moments in college football history. The tuba player really took it hard.
Yeah.
They got nailed. Yeah.
Well, maybe if their mascot is the tree, we should just leave it alone. More of the home team coming up on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340 and 1350, FM 106.1 and 102.3, and Facebook
Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
When you talk about ice rink development in West Central Florida, one name stands alone: Iceman Development, LLC. Gordy Zimmerman, president and founder of Iceman Development, has played an integral part in the construction of the Ice Sports Forum in Brandon, the training home of the three-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Advent Health Center Ice Complex, a multi-million-dollar facility boasting 150,000 square feet and ranked the top indoor ice rink facility by both the USA Today and Yelp. Iceman Development is currently involved in creating yet another outstanding ice rink facility in Trinity and Pasco County. Iceman's company mission is to build community projects that impact the area both in quality of life and economic growth. For more information, visit icemandevelopment.com. That's Iceman with two N's, development.com. Your number one home team fans, Auto Owners Insurance and Vermost Insurance Agency is a winning combination. We'll work with you to ensure your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, and secure. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit the Vermost Insurance Agency in Tampa Bay today at vermost.com. That's vermost.com. We're talking with Pastor Chris Bonham, the senior executive pastor at Grace Family Church. And it's been around for a while, Pastor Chris. What do you attribute the longevity to?
We've been around for 27 years, and our senior pastor, Craig Altman, always has had the value of being real, being genuine. And I think that's really been the key to our longevity. The message hasn't changed. We're always going to be Bible-based, Bible-centered, but our genuineness allows us, as we've grown, to show we're not perfect. We're not always going to do everything right. And that allows us to be real. And I think when people see that, that's very inviting to them to realize they don't have to just be perfect as well. They can come just like they are, and God can meet them right where they're at.
You'll find services on both Saturday and Sunday at Grace Family Church, so check it out.
Grace Family Church, now with 8 locations, the newest at State Route 54 and Suncoast Parkway.
This is Paul Porter to tell you about the place to save big dollars on nearly new hockey, golf, baseball, and football equipment, and more. Check out Second Time Sports, Main Street, next to Walmart, just west of Belcher. Gently used sports equipment at significant savings is what you'll find at Second Time Sports. Call 727-784-0007 or check them out at secondtimesports.com. Don't pay full price for sports equipment without first checking out Second Time Sports, 2104 Main Street, just west of Belcher, next to Walmart. There's one thing I'm particular about. It's my pizza. ABC Pizza House at 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Great specials, too, like a large one-topping pizza for just $11.99 every Monday or Thursday, or 2 pizzas with 2 toppings every Tuesday for just $22.99. Spaghetti with 1 topping every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday for just $8.99. ABC Pizza House, 1242 West Hillsborough Avenue, 813-213-0929. Open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. abcpizzahouse.com. Hello, brilliant listeners. For an intellectually stimulating and entertaining legal journey, don't forget to tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. Join us on WTAN AM 1340 radio for Legal Candy with the exceptional attorney Candice Colucci. It's the home for your legal cravings. Don't miss Legal Candy, only on WTAN 1340 AM with attorney Candice Colucci.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the home team. If you want to join us, we have open phone lines right now at 727-441-3000. Again, thanks to Dale Ann Melnick for joining us from Six Pack Recruiting. And they can certainly help young men and women get that scholarship and get that academic scholarship. And we certainly encourage you to contact her if you have any questions, or maybe you want to talk about having her go to work for your son or daughter, whatever the sport may be that they play. There's a lot of scholarships out there besides football and basketball. That's not the only thing. I know very well. I haven't gotten one myself, so it's certainly an open market. So it's good to have some help like that and some people that can guide you along the way that have been through the process. I want to say hello to Mario. He just had his 40th birthday yesterday.
Wonderful. Happy birthday.
Celebrating the big 4-0. And he confirmed that there are no Florida teams left in the NCAA tournament. And wanted to get your thoughts, Jason, on the success of USF. UCF has had a pretty good run. It's not just Florida and Florida State the state of Florida as far as basketball is concerned. And that's got to really help the sport. And in particular, I think what USF is doing really will help basketball in the Tampa Bay area.
No question about it. We saw that several of their games, their last few home games at the England Center sell out. It was a packed house. I mean, the students, the fans, everyone is excited about basketball here. And, you look at throughout the state of Florida. Florida is for the longest time being considered more of a football state, not a basketball state. But that started to change. I think, of course, now years ago, Florida State, they played UCLA and one of John Wooden's dominant teams. They played them for the national title. I think also one year Jacksonville played for the national title. But it was mostly, I think, some of the Florida teams, with, of course, first in 94 with Alon Kruger, but Billy Donovan's teams that then won back-to-back national titles. The last program to win back-to-back national titles in basketball, in men's basketball. By the way, it's been a while now, since 2007. So certainly, basketball has become popular in the state of Florida, and I think some of the smaller schools outside of the big three being, of course, Florida State, and Miami, but teams like last year, Florida Atlantic, USF, UCF, Florida Gulf Coast a couple of years ago made a run to the Sweet 16. So yeah, some of the other schools in Florida have been very successful. So that is a great thing.
I'm not aware of this, and maybe Matt can research it, but as far as the NIT is concerned, are there any other Florida teams besides USF? UCF was in it,
which
of course,
they played in it. Yeah,
eliminated.
Not that I know of right off the top of my head. I can think of. I think in the American Conference, I believe SMU is in it, and well, maybe Charlotte too. I don't know for sure because Charlotte had a pretty good team in the American this year as well.
Well, the reason I bring that up is that would mean that USF is the only Florida college basketball team still playing.
That's right.
If they've all been eliminated from the NCAA tournament, no other than NIT.
I believe that is the case. I know, of course, USF, they're going to be playing tomorrow night against VCU, Virginia Commonwealth,
at the Yuengling Center.
At the Yuengling Center. I didn't even realize that it was going to be home. So that's good. Very exciting.
And I hope that people really fill up the Yuengling Center tomorrow night. This will be the final game there, because even if they win, they'll be moving on to the neutral sites.
Yeah.
So this will be the final home game for USF, and it would be neat to send them out, win or lose, with a packed house.
Big time. It's been a great season. What the coaching staff, Amir Abdur-Rahim, what a job he's done. They have found someone there. The hope is that they can keep him here for a long time. Hopefully, because obviously other programs are going to become calling.
And the two things we've proven here on the home team is that the Lightning did not make a Dumba trade, and that Amir Abdur-Rahim is not a mere basketball coach. Yeah,
not at all.
He's very well.
And it's clearly not a mere first-round exit. USF won, and they're the only one left. They're the only Florida school left playing in either tournament.
All right, so they're the only one in the state playing basketball still. And hopefully they'll keep that run going tomorrow night.
You think about it, and USF has had some good teams and some good coaches. When I first got into it, Bobby Pascal was the coach. They had a couple of tournament appearances under him. Seth Greenberg had some good years. Didn't get him to the big tournament, but they made it to the NIT several times under Greenberg. And then, of course, Stan Heath was the last coach to lead them to the big dance back, I believe, in 2011 or 2012.
They even named a candy bar after him.
Yeah.
It also turns out that USF wasn't the only Florida school that was invited to play in the NIT. Florida State got the invitation. They declined it.
And UCF played in it, but USF eliminated them.
Yeah. Just again, the idea that that tournament is beneath us. We're too good for that.
Yeah,
I just don't like that part of what the thinking is. You're getting an opportunity to play more games. If you love the sport, if you're passionate about the sport of basketball, go play. Wouldn't you love to play those games? Oh no, it's not that big a deal. That's the part that has changed that just drives me nuts. One of the things that's changed, it drives me nuts.
727-441-3000 is the number to call if you want to join us. We've got about a little less than 20 minutes to go. If you want to join us on the phone line, 727-441-3000. Our good friend Al has joined us from Tampa. Hello, Al. You're on the home team.
Yeah, I see Snell gave him a nice little contract.
Who did he sign with? I did not see that.
San Francisco.
Okay. With the
perfect
Giants.
city for him.
Yeah.
He got 62 million.
Wow. Well, I was waiting to see when he was going to get signed. You know what I thought, Al, is I thought the Yankees were going to snatch him up.
With Garrett Cole's injury.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the Yankees. They're not going to know where the way they're playing.
We'll see. Yeah.
We were talking, Jason, earlier about not having dominant teams,
right.
and the Yankees have been a team that have always been a dominant team, but they've not been very good lately.
No.
And what does that do to Major League Baseball for maybe the most famous team of all?
The Yankees.
Yeah. They're coming up with this new slide rule they're coming up with now. You heard of that?
I haven't heard about that. What about the slide rule?
They're saying they're doing something with this slide rule. When a man goes into second base, they can't do a certain thing. But I don't understand what's going on.
Well, I don't know about that. I know you certainly have to stay within the base. You can't go outside the base pads or the baseline, I guess is what you can't go outside of that. And obviously you can't use your cleats like this. I think that's what Ty Cobb in the old days used to sharpen his cleats and spear people with his cleats. You can't do something like that. Outside of that, though, I know in home plate you can no longer run over the catcher like some guys used to do. But
it's a very intricate call as far as what's interference. Base runner interference or the catcher interference. It's a judgment call by that home plate umpire.
But at second base, I haven't.
The rules on this and that. I don't understand it.
I have to look that up. I haven't heard about doing something about second base or any other rules about sliding into other bases outside of the home plate rule.
Well, the bases are bigger now, so it makes it easier for the base runner to go wide.
I guess maybe it has to do with going outside the baseline. You can only go to a certain degree, or you'll be out. I honestly don't know.
Al, we want to get you into our NCAA women's contest. Do you have a team you'd like to have?
I don't know too much about the women.
I was about to say, do you know? Do you have the list of all the teams?
I'm going to have
write them down.
Repeat after me, Al. Okay, you got to say this exact now. L.
Yeah.
Well, you got to repeat after me because you have to say it. L. S. U.
Okay,
You've got LSU
there we go.
in the NCAA
that's a good choice.
women's contest. Good choice.
They won it last year, so they're a good team.
They're the defending champions.
Yeah. What's going on with some of these teams? They put them on the screen. I haven't seen what's his name?
Well, Shohei Ohtani, there's a controversy there involving his interpreter apparently stealing a lot of money, but the interpreter had gambling debts, and I guess they're investigating that situation.
Also trying to find out if Ohtani himself may have been gambling through the interpreter.
Oh, boy. Well, that caused a firestorm.
Yeah.
With some of these teams playing basketball, I don't see them no more.
Oh, well, that's part of it, Al, is the players don't stay that long anymore. So you don't have some of the dominant teams. We were just talking about that earlier. Some of the teams that are always there, they don't go as far because they're not as good. You don't have any team chemistry or cohesiveness. The players don't stay together as long as they used to.
Mike Krzyzewski got out at the right time, I think. Yeah. So, Al, we got to move along, but good to talk to you and good luck with LSU in the tournament.
All right. What about some of these teams that I haven't?
What we're going to do next Saturday when we're down to, it'll actually be the Elite Eight by next Saturday. We will run through the 8 remaining teams.
Yes.
There's still 32 in it today.
Long.
What's that?
How come it's taking so long for some of these teams?
Because it's the way it does. It's a lot of teams. It starts with 64, and each passing week they go down to the next round. But they don't play every day, though. They go from week to week. Like it starts. It started Thursday this week. It's going to start next Thursday and next week. So that's the way it kind of works. A little different.
All right. Thanks, Al. We appreciate it. All right. Want to say hello to Gordy out there watching on Facebook Live. Good to have you with us. And also number of people that are joining us on Facebook Live. Mario has selected North Carolina as his team in the NCAA tournament. So that is his pick. We are going to take our final break, and then we will come back and wrap things up here on the home team. Still time for a phone call. If you want to get it through, call now, 727-441-3000, 727-441-3000. Final segment of the home team coming up on the Home Team Radio Network, the TAN Team Radio Network, 106.1 FM, 102.3 FM, AM
860, AM 1340, 1350. You're throwing me for a loop. You got me.
And Facebook
Live.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hi, Paul Porter here. I've known Bobby Maggie for years, and he's always supported the home team. Tax season is here, and at Maggie Tax, you can let the professionals prepare your taxes. Taxes will be going up, and now is the time to do tax planning. No appointments necessary, and 3 locations that you can drop off your tax info and go. Visit Maggie Tax for more information or call Bobby Maggie at 727-799-1701. Pay less tax with Maggie Tax. It's not a slogan, it's what they do. Mention Paul Porter and the home team, and you'll get $25 off your tax preparation. That number again, 727-799-1701. 727-799-1701. Now is a great time to shop your homeowners and auto insurance. Alliance Mutual Insurance can lower your cost on insurance during these challenging economic times. Alliance Mutual, an independent agency, is in the Tampa Bay area, locally owned with over 20 years experience. They have access to dozens of independent carriers and can find the lowest price with the highest quality coverage. Citizens is not your only option. Call or text Jamie Brown, a home team listener and supporter, at 727-637-2341. That's Jamie Brown at 727-637-2341.
Honest Mahoney's. That's what people have been calling LZ Mahoney for more than 35 years. Honest LZ Mahoney. The name really says it all. Mahoney's Auto Repair is a place you can trust. In fact, it was some of his loyal customers that came up with the name. Generations of people who've been taking their cars to 4040 54th Avenue North for 3.5 decades. Do you need some work done on your car? If his loyal customers call him Honest Mahoney's, that should tell you something right there. The next time you need work done on your car, take it to my friend LZ Mahoney's. He's been a part of the home team for nearly 20 years. Mahoney's Auto Repair. Or just remember Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, a place that people have called home for more than 35 years. Honest Mahoney's, 4040 54th Avenue North in St. Petersburg.
Thank goodness it's Thursday. That's what they're celebrating every last Thursday of the month from 4:30 to 8 p.m. at Raw Space Collaborative. It's a chance to network with other businesses and make some new friends. If you're looking to network your business, don't miss TGIT at Raw Space Collaborative, 6013 Wesley Grove Boulevard, Building 2, Suite 208 in Wesley Chapel. Check out rawspaceco.com for all the details. See you last Thursday of the month from 4:30 to 8 p.m. at Thank Goodness It's Thursday.
Looking to buy or sell a home but don't know where to turn? Paul Porter here from Pollyanna Ward and the team at Innovation Realty Group. They're ready to work for you. New construction, buying, or selling an existing home? They can do it all. They serve our entire listing area. Uncompromising integrity combined with savvy negotiating is what you'll find at Innovation Realty Group. Visit their website, innovationgroupfl.com. That's innovationgroupfl.com. Or call 813-802-8415 to speak directly with Pollyanna.
My new windows from FAS Windows and Doors are in. I couldn't be happier with the job they did, from measuring perfectly to prompt and exact installation. How did I choose FAS over all the other window companies? I've known Ernie and John Wilding for nearly 20 years. They're Central Florida and West Central Florida's largest volume window and door dealer, with showrooms and distribution facilities in both Tampa and Orlando. As you know, I never endorse a product or service unless I've used them or thoroughly researched them. Their objective is providing the best quality windows and doors on the market at reasonable prices with a customer service level that is unsurpassed in the industry. Never an obligation when you call 866-737-7173 or visit them on the internet at faswd.com. Call 866-737-7173. You'll be glad you did. I sure am.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to our final segment here on the home team. Glad to have you with us. And we've got lots to get to still, and we will with your phone calls at 727-441-3000. We've not talked about Alessi Bakery yet, Jason, and I know we're closing in on Easter. A week from tomorrow is Easter Sunday, and you've got lots of things to offer.
Lots of things to offer. You know, I'll mention those specialty Easter breads, the breads that are kind of in the shape of baskets or wreaths that have the actual eggs baked into them. We're taking special orders for those, but if you want to order some of those, I recommend get those in as quickly as possible. But that's always a popular item. We're doing, we have like egg cakes in the shape of eggs, larger ones, smaller ones. A yellow cake on the inside, the outside with all different colors of icing. So that we're doing a lot of Easter cookies as well. Some bunny cookies, chicks, ducks, Easter egg shaped cookies also. And of course, our usual pastries, guava turnovers, apple turnovers. We have danishes, eclairs, cannolis, tiramisu slices, carrot cake slices. Great Deli offering a variety of sandwiches, Cuban sandwiches, Philly cheesesteaks, Reubens, burgers, and devil crabs, beef empanadas. Our famous scachata pizza, always very popular. So we're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're 2909 Cypress Street in West Tampa, in between MacDill and Armenia.
Outstanding. Well, that's certainly a headquarters for Easter. Make sure you stop by, get your order in, or pick up some of the great delicacies that Jason just talked about there. We certainly are always enjoy to stop by Alessi Bakery, that's for sure. We've been such a fast 2 hours, and we've talked so much college sports today, Jason. We've not even mentioned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their signing of Levante David. That certainly is a big thing that have happened this week.
I actually missed that. I knew they moved on from Devin White, but to sign Levante David, he's been with us a long, long time. He's been one of our best players, so I'm very excited about that. You've got, of course, we also have KJ Britt, the other linebacker, the young linebacker, making a lot of strides this season. So I'm very impressed with what they're doing. Of course, the biggest signings were with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans.
Sure.
But you look at the rookie class from last year. That's what's to me, those young players that in their very first year all contributed in major ways. Kalijah Cansey, Yaya Diaby, Cody Mauk, Trey Palmer, others, Christian Izzian. You figure they're only going to get better. So to have those players on the roster, you think for years to come, we've got our quarterback, got our receiving core, our special teams, our kicker, Chase McLaughlin, sign him. One of the best kickers in the league.
Yeah.
Our punter's really good. We have a team that was expected to kind of take a nosedive last season that didn't. They were very good, surprisingly so. Now I think he figured this team could still be good for years to come, and that's exciting.
Question from Mario on Facebook Live, and he says, are the Bucks at a point now where they can, when the draft comes along next month, that they can just select the best available player? Or do they have to look for a specific position?
No. I think certainly picking later in the draft, it's probably going to be the best available player. You can always look if there's a certain position that you think you may be a little bit more in need than the other, and a player is there that you really, really like. You could go for it. But I think at this point, I don't look at this team as having any glaring needs. I don't. I would have said maybe in the beginning of last year, the running back position, I was extremely impressed with the improvement that Rachaad White made through the year. I thought he did a great job. So we've got pretty much, I think, strengths at all areas.
I always liken it to baseball, and where you can never have enough pitching.
Yeah.
In football, I think you can never have enough linemen.
That's
you can
true.
never have enough offensive, in particular, offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
Sure. So that, they could look at there. But I think is certainly whoever is left, they're going to look at the best, the best player, and even the quarterback. They're not going to get a quarterback in the first round, but later on down, in the later drafts, if they like a certain quarterback that's there, we've seen teams like a San Francisco 49er look at how they ended up with Brock Purdy, not by conventional means, but because they chose to draft him as things would turn out, he was the guy. So you could always look at other quarterbacks who may start as the backup, but work their way up later on.
Yeah, because Baker Mayfield we've got him locked up for 3 years.
He's going to be the guy. Kyle Trask is interesting. I still think Kyle Trask has loads of talent. I'd love to see what he has to offer. But obviously, and he's a good backup to have, I think. But he's not going to be the guy for here. So does he choose, I guess, whenever his contract expires, to move on elsewhere to maybe see if he can get a starting job with someone?
Well, that would be hard because he's never really had a chance to put a lot on film.
I know that, but if another team looks at what he did in college, sees he's got a strong arm, would they be willing to give him more of an opportunity than he's had here? So that's something to look at.
Want to remind you the sports continue here on the TAN Talk Radio Network for the next couple of hours from 11 to 1. Mike with the sports Tampa Bay Sports Connection will be coming up right after our program. So the the sports talk will continue right here on the TAN Talk Radio Network. One last thing I want to get to before we call it a day. Reminder that a week from tomorrow is Easter Sunday, and our friends at Grace Family Church are really taking on a huge investment, a huge step of faith. They are having Easter Sunday service at Raymond James Stadium, and they're hoping for 40,000 people to show up at Raymond James Stadium. That will the service starts at 10:30, but there's a whole lot more before that. The gates to the stadium will open at 9:30, and you can tailgate starting at 8 a.m. on Easter Sunday morning. Yes, you can actually tailgate for church. That usually you associate tailgating with the sports, but you can tailgate for church. And again, it's at Raymond James Stadium a week from tomorrow at Raymond James Stadium at 10:30 a.m. is the service. We had a great show. Thanks to Dale Ann Melnick and Greg Linnelli for joining us on the program today. We will talk to you next Saturday at 9 o'clock on the TAN Talk Radio Network, AM 1340. And 1350, FM 106.1, 102.3, and of course, Facebook
Live.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Allison Keys.
On this vote, the yeas are 74, the nays are 24. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this motion, the motion is agreed to.
With that, the Senate passed a $1.2 trillion spending bill overnight, pushing any worries over a government shutdown into the fall. That despite a battle between Democrats and Republicans over proposed amendments to the bill. Democratic Senator Patty Murray is pleased.
We have finally passed all 12 bills to fund the government, and I am proud to be sending a $1 billion increase in funding for child care and pre-K